looking straight ahead. The old man's body was still lying there, but no one dared to come any closer. Only Master Leon knew that the soul of old man Ngo had been captured by the spirit cat. Now, what remained was just a soulless corpse. His head was already giving off the stench of a corpse. According to Master Leon, the old man had been dead for more than 2 days. When he died was also the moment the spirit of old man Ngo borrowed the body. Soul used it to return to living. So foul. Where is the stench coming from? Mr. Ka covered his nose and asked in confusion. Master Leon immediately explained. The stench of decay is coming from the corpse of the deceased. This person had already died 2 days ago, and then was possessed by a spirit carrying yin energy, so the body has now begun to show signs of decomposition. The family must proceed with the burial immediately. From what I can sense, the geomantic energy of the Thon ward in Bai area is very unstable. It should not be buried. Cremation is recommended. The body should be kept in a temple. Await the geomantic energy stabilizes. The elderly woman should do the same. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Van knelt down, hugging, her head in distress. She collapsed to ground, tears streaming down face. Oh heavens, my husband, mother, why is our family suffering like this? Why am I in such little pain? Oh God, Hiyu also shed tears out of love for his father and for his grandmother. Her passing was a complete shock to Hiyu. Holding back his grief, Hiyu comforted his mother. Please don't cry anymore, Mom. What we need to do now is to lay Dad and Grandma to rest in peace. Mr. Ka also encouraged his grandson. That's right. Those who have passed are already gone. The living must go on living. After all, even in misfortune, there is still a silver lining. Just think about it. If Master Leon hadn't arrived in time, I fear things would have turned out even worse. Many shared their sorrow with the family. While everyone was still talking, Master Leon straightened up the bed and gently and softly called everyone over to come help me lift the old man's body onto the bed. Upon hearing that, Yu quickly ran over. Master Leon placed the old man's body onto the bed and took a warm blanket. Master Leon covered the old man with it. This gesture from Master Leon moved Mr. Ka and Mrs. Van, and also her daughter. After taking care of the old man, everyone continued tidying up, letting him lie down, covering him with a blanket. Hugh brought up the question he had earlier with Master Leon. Hugh then asked, So may I ask, did my grandfather possess my father's body to come back to life and take revenge? Master Leon let out a gentle sigh softly and replied, No, my child. Perhaps when he was alive, he didn't treat your grandmother or his children and grandchildren properly. Only after death did he realize this. So this time he returned to make amends, to atone, to make up for it, but unintentionally he ended up causing harm and died. The old lady didn't know how to put it properly, so she blamed herself. To be frank, her death was the karma for killing her husband, a debt she had to repay. And she paid that karma right in this very lifetime. In a way, that's the good thing. I'll explain this matter in more detail later. Everyone come out. I still have one more issue resolve all confusion. Right here, in this house. Mr. Ka got goosebumps and trembled upon hearing that. His voice became hesitant. It's still not over yet? What else is there? I want to go home. Too. Not only Mr. Ka, but also Mrs. Van and her daughter looked extremely anxious, mixed with worry and fear. The old man had died, and the bride had also passed away. With stern look, Master Leon said, There is still one more issue that needs to be resolved. Suddenly, they recalled the fortune-teller's warning when he came to perform a ritual for the family. The husband's illness and suffering were because the spirit just wanted to take him away. After hearing the story about her father-in-law, who died while mourning continues for 3 years yet, it was highly likely that the family was double funeral. After her husband dies, another family member might be taken next in the house. Specifically here is your son. Miss Van heard that and was disappointed. Terrified, she leapt, pale and trembling. Voice quivered as she pleaded with Master Leon. What is Trung Tang, Master? Why would they take my son too? What should I do, Master? Please save my family. If not, my whole family will die. Master Leon pretended to sigh, gently shook his head, looking troubled. Trung Tang is when someone in the family dies at an inauspicious hour under cursed fate. The person before Passing away will take along someone still alive. And just like that, family members will die one after another. In some families, up to the third person dies. In more severe cases, in large families, sons, as many as 5 people may die. It's just that, well, in simple terms, people just understand it as someone dying the morning ends and having to hold a funeral for the next person. Of course, I'll help. But doing the ritual to dispel Trong Tang, to cleanse the karmic curse, is very costly. Takes effort. The person performing the ritual even has to sacrifice part of their own lifespan to resolve the Trong Tang. In the past, you were in trouble, an cruel karmic offense, which is why you're now affected by the mysterious Trong Tang curse. Mrs. Van was terrified, her face pale. As Master Leon spoke the final sentence, her father-in-law had been dead for 3 years, and his grave had yet to be exhumed when her husband, Mr. Carr, fell ill. He was taken to major hospitals in the city. Scans and tests showed nothing. Their money just kept draining away, while his condition kept worsening. It wasn't until about a month ago, out of love for her husband, that she encouraged him to return to the city hospital for a check in the same department of the company. Same doctor, same scans and sample tests. But this time, the results came back. Mr. Carr was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Even if they had gone 3 months earlier, nothing could have been done. They got the results and shared the story with Master Leon. It was because spirits had clouded their vision, preventing them from seeing the true diagnosis, and ultimately destined Mr. Carr to die. Mrs. Van's family found this explanation completely reasonable. Because Mr. Carr had been examined in 3 hospitals, including one that specialized in cancer. But all 3 gave the same result. Indeed, no illness was detected. It wasn't until Mr. Carr became increasingly gaunt, withered, emaciated, unable to eat, suffering and in pain, that he went for another examination. And the illness was finally discovered, but it was too late, as it was in final stage. They clasped their hands and begged Master Leon. Mrs. Van immediately burst into tears. Master, as long as you can dispel the curse of the repeated deaths, the cost my family is willing to pay. We just beg you to show us a way to save my nephew's sister. He just got married, hasn't had children yet. He's like this. How exactly? My family lives in the same place. In the end, Master Leon eventually agreed and instructed the family to carry out tasks such as pre-digging the grave and purchasing a coffin for Mr. Carr. The moment Mr. Carr passes away, he must be immediately buried without delay. In addition, Master Leon dispelled the death curse for Mrs. Van's family. He instructed during Mr. Carr's funeral, Master Leon would come to take care of the ceremonial rites. A funeral. He performed a calming ritual to bring peace of mind to the family. Yet, Mr. Carr hadn't died, but Master Leon had passed away. When Mrs. Van heard the news, fortune teller had died out at the cemetery. The fortune teller died in the cemetery. She was scared, quickly closed the door, not daring to open it. As for her husband, although he regained consciousness, he began to show strange and unusual behaviors, which made Mrs. Van even more panicked. Lost in her thoughts, she was lightly startled when her son gently shook her and called out, "Mom! Mom! What's wrong? Mr. Leon is asking you something." Mrs. Van hurriedly asked Master Leon, "Mr. Leon, is the issue you mentioned about my family being cursed with multiple deaths after my husband? If I die, it will be my son's turn." He didn't understand. Mr. Carr looked confused, not understanding why Mrs. Van suddenly asked such just an unrelated question. But Master Leon calmly and gently asked back, "Multiple deaths? Who told you that?" Mrs. Van, in her fear, told everything to Master Leon. Listening to Mr. Carr's account, Master Leon was able to gather some additional information about the fake fortune teller who had been found dead in the cemetery this morning. Mr. Carr furrowed his brows, puzzled, then asked, "Then could it be that the fake fortune teller went to the village cemetery early this morning because of Mrs. Van's burial plot?" Mrs. Van shook her head vigorously. "No, that's not it. Sir, I swear I have nothing to do with his death. I also just heard the villagers gossiping that he died out at the cemetery. That fortune teller was from Phuong Hia village. I was planning to wait until my husband recovered a bit. Then I'd go there myself to ask about it. After he took the money for the ritual from my family, the old man told us to dig the grave in advance, have the coffin ready, and just wait for the person to die and then bury them. But he promised, when the funeral is, I will come. But I'm dead. I'm really scared, especially since the grave was dug per his instructions, even caused the death of 2 people. Now thinking back, with him gone, who will do the ritual to break the death curse? My son. He'll be taken next after his father. Next. Mrs. Van covered her face and cried. Master Leon had understood the suffering of woman. Master Leon said, it seems the fortune teller you mentioned does have some skill. This person has spiritual roots, karma, and knowledge of the craft, so he can sense spirit energy, and also through use of spirit soldiers he can perceive part of the events that happened in the past of the family. Although he didn't know everything clearly, he deliberately exaggerated things to scare the homeowner for personal gain. The old man's act of killing Mr. Ngo created bad karma, causing the family to lose its blessings. As a result, your husband has been suffering from illness, and your son faces difficulties in his path in life. It feels like the family's wealth just keeps dwindling like that. Life is becoming more and more difficult and hopeless. On this point, the fortune teller was somewhat right. As for the Trung Tang, double death, he was only trying to scare your family. I have looked into it, and your family is not affected by Trung Tang. The recent incident was caused by something else entirely. This cause has affected the entire geological energy of Wongbai village, not just your family alone. The spirit of old man Ngo possessed the body of Mr. Ka, your husband, purely by coincidence, at the time when the earth's energy was unstable, and your husband passed away due to illness. Because of that, how Ngo was able to possess your son and come back to life, with the hope of making amends for the mistakes he made while he was still alive. Mrs. Van stammered, are you serious? Our family isn't actually suffering from a death curse, and also my father-in-law revived to seek revenge, but to make amends to the family for real. Like, Master Leon nodded firmly. Exactly, as you said. This was told to me directly by the spirit. Mr. Ngo's spirit told me before he passed away. At that precise moment, Hia thoughtfully asked, but when he woke up, my father still cursed. Dig yell at people, first just come. Wander down to the back of the house, looking for grandma, knocking and scratching at the door, demanding to get in, which scared her so much that she locked the door tightly, not daring to come out until morning came. Master Leon sighed, looking slightly sad. Master Leon, he said, this is truly unfortunate. That's why I say the realms of the living and the dead are separate. Those who have died stubbornly try to return to the mortal world. It will only make everything more chaotic. Old man. Ngo was like that when he was alive, so when he possessed Mr. Ka's body, at first he still behaved according to his nature, cursing and shouting. As for the matter of him going to Mrs. Koi's room every night, it was simply because he wanted to tell her something important. Mrs. Van heard that and quickly asked, what is it? Why does he insist on telling my mother? Master Leon immediately replied, that's because the person Mr. Ngo treated the worst was Mrs. Koi, who was known to be his wife, a very kind and gentle person, who was also the one who killed him. When the time of his death, Mr. Ngo finally realized this. He wanted to do something to make it up to Mrs. Lonely. So I just want to talk to you alone, and no one else. Going back to the question you didn't answer earlier, I want to ask, was Mr. No very wealthy in the past? Looking at this house, I can already guess a few things, but I still want to ask to be sure. Mrs. Van replied, yes, my father-in-law was a wealthy man. My mother-in-law said that even generations before him, the family was already very rich. In the old days, they were landlords. That's why my father-in-law's thinking was heavily influenced by feudal values. But during the war, the family gave all their assets to the state to support the revolution. So, by my father-in-law's era, they were just getting by with enough to eat and wear. Basically in terms of food and clothing. But still, no matter what, the Ngo family has always been among the wealthiest in the village and the commune. What else? He was a bit extreme, not really one to share or donate to help others very often. Once Miss Koi made a donation when she got home, Mr. Ngo beat her mercilessly, so no one dared to come to their house and bring it up. People respected Mrs. Koi for her kindness, but as for Mr. Ngo, honestly, absolutely no one could stand him. She was very kind. People even compared Mr. Ngo to the cruel landlords of past. In the past, she said Mr. Ngo's family belonged to the government. Landlord origin is standard, Master Leon. nodded. At this point, it seems this possibility is indeed quite likely. I am helping the deceased pass on a message. As for whether anything is found when they dig it up, that's up to the family. I won't get involved. So, Mr. Ingo wants to make amends to Mr. Koi with the jar that was buried beneath the peach tree in the backyard of his house. Is there a peach tree there? Mrs. Van nodded and replied, Yes, there is. Our family has a peach tree. It was planted by my father-in-law himself. It must be nearly 30 years old. It was already there when I married into the family. Master Leon stroked his silver beard and gently continued. Dig to the left of the peach tree, about half a meter deep, and you'll find what Mr. Ingo buried. Whatever it is, it belongs to the family. Everything that needed to be said, I have said. As for the funeral arrangements, Tran has already spoken with the family to take care of them. So now, it's up to the decision of the head of the household. It's getting late. Get ready, Ka. Let's head back, so the family can prepare the funeral and burial for who has hidden. Mrs. Van wanted to keep Master Leon and Mr. Carr stayed, but Master Leon asked for permission, refused, because there was nothing else to do there. Taking care of the arrangements and necessary details, the funeral for Mr. Carr and Old Koi. Anything else needed, where to leave later in the detailed schedule or comprehensive plan. On the way back home, the sky at this point was already 9 p.m. The frogs were croaking loudly across the rice fields. Earlier, before leaving, Mr. Carr had asked you for a pair of rabbit batteries, so they had a flashlight in order to see in the dark, as black as ink. For some reason, Mr. Carr heard sound of footsteps in mud echoing across several sections of the fields. He quietly moved closer to Master Leon, then whispered, Uncle Leon, do you hear anything? Uncle Leon replied, There are perhaps sounds of someone wading through mud and also footsteps following behind us. The people of Bai village are now all the wandering souls of the dead. This is really not good at all. Corpse demons, only corpse demons could make. The miasma has truly become so incredibly overwhelming. Around 9 p.m., Mr. Carr and Master Leon returned home. Inside, the lights were still on. Mrs. Hong anxiously paced back and forth, standing, sat still with anxiety. Just saw the light, and heard the shuffling sound of footsteps. Mrs. Hong hurried out. And sure enough, it was indeed Mr. Carr who had returned. As he stepped through the gate into the yard and saw his wife, Mr. Carr said, Dear, get me a glass of water. Sitting down on the chair, Mrs. Hong poured water for her husband and Master Leon. Taking the glass, Mr. Carr gulped it down in one go, as if he had just been through a panic. After returning, he drained the glass of water, wiped his sweat with a towel, and gradually regulated his breathing. Only then did Mr. Carr truly believe that he had made it home safely. What's wrong with you? Did something happen? Perhaps? At Van's grave? You look like you just saw almost a ghost. Hearing ghost made Mr. Carr break out in goosebumps. Shut your mouth, Mr. Carr snapped. Enough already. It's better than running into a ghost. You're already scared, but you keep asking. Mrs. Hong snapped back, irritated. Your face is as pale as a frog's belly. You came back gasping for air, drinking water like you were desperate. That's strange. I just asked why he got so angry. If I had known, I would have just let him be. For you. Mr. Carr got so upset and scared that he lashed out in anger at nothing, but then softened his tone. Well, something did happen. That's why I acted that way. Mr. Carr, he's dead. And Old Man Koi is dead too. It's actually a long story, really. Too much. Mrs. Hong's mouth dropped open in shock. What did you say? The fortune teller is dead? And Old Man Koi too? Oh my goodness. Then what Mr. Leon said back when he was still at our house has really come true, hasn't it? She turned her eyes toward Master Leon, felt a chill run down her spine. Mr. Carr replied, This lady, nothing yet, already chaos. You talk as if Mr. Indeed. Leon cursed them to death. Sit down and listen until the end. You keep fussing, like someone deaf being dragged into the station. It's so irritating. Master Leon gently raised his hand, signaling Mr. Carr not to get upset. On the way home, both of them agreed not to tell the full story about Mrs. Van's family to Mrs. Hong and Mr. Carr. Listen. His wife was impulsive. Mr. Carr also agreed with Master Leon. Moreover, After all, it was a private matter of Grandma Koi's family. Everyone involved had already passed away. Bringing it up now wouldn't solve anything, and would only bring suffering to those still alive. Therefore, Mr. Ka told Mrs. Thong that the reason he was deathly ill and then suddenly recovered was because he was possessed by a spirit. He turned into a revenant. As for Grandma Koi being old frail in a household where there were evil spirits appearing, she fell ill and passed away. Fortunately, Master Leon arrived in time and was able to destroy the demon. It's just a pity that he couldn't save Grandma Koi. At the same time, Mr. Ka also confirmed that the rumors about a demon grave taking people to extend Mr. Ka's lifespan were completely untrue. Those were merely fabricated lies. Tomorrow, Mr. Ka will talk to the elders and hold a ceremony for the person who established that grave. This is also part of Master Leon's plan, which requires Mr. Ka to step in and help. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Hong exclaimed, "Uncle Leon, you're really amazing. Every word you say is spot on. Let me ask you, are you a fortune teller or perhaps a sorcerer of some kind? How are you so good at this?" Master Leon smiled gently and replied, "I've already said, I'm just a person who works in the field of grave relocation. In this line of work, you need some understanding of geography, the I Ching, and also the rituals of worship and offerings. Besides that, I was fortunate to have studied under a skilled master who has been practicing the trade for several decades, so I ended up learning a bit of everything. To outsiders, it might seem profound, but compared to I Ching or fortune-telling experts, I still fall far short of their level. Oh, and there's something I'd like to discuss with you and your wife, Ka Miss Hong. Please keep this confidential. But earlier this evening, I mentioned that I came here to help everyone. If anyone asks, I'd appreciate it if you too could say I'm a distant relative coming to stay for a few days. There are a lot of issues happening in the village right now, and we want to avoid causing unnecessary worry the villagers. I've already discussed everything with you, Ka." Ms. Hong nodded and replied, "You're so cautious. I told you before, and I tell you again now. Wife, understand, don't worry. It's just the two of us at home. Our daughter is working in the city. He is working in the city. You stay there, here with us. We just hope you won't." Mr. Ka and Mrs. Hong cleaned up and prepared bedding for Master Leon. Only then Mr. Ka quietly said, "Master Leon, earlier on the way back, what you said, was it true, perhaps?" Master Leon immediately replied, "Yes, if we don't quickly find a way to resolve it, Phuong Boy Village will soon turn into a beautiful and vibrant place of demons. There is something incredibly terrifying, waiting for the right moment to break free. After hundreds of years of slumber, there is a legend about this entity recorded in the archives of Master Kuch, who was also my teacher. The book was written in 850 during the Tang dynasty. There was a village in Yangzhou, in Jiangsu province. Today it's called Kamtash village. Kamtash, true to its name, was a place where everyone lived very happily. With their stone musical instruments, they sang, they danced. Laughter echoed throughout the place. However, after just 3 days, Kamtak village had become a dead village. Everyone living in the village had turned into vicious demons. They devoured livestock and poultry raised in the village. Then they went on to attack the neighboring villages. Fortunately, at that time, a Taoist priest with the surname Chao appeared. He was highly skilled and possessed profound spiritual cultivation, and he discovered the cause that had turned the entire population of Kamtach village demons and eliminated it. Mr. Ka stammered, Is it the same corpse demon you mentioned earlier? On the way back, perhaps? Master Leon gently replied, "I'm not entirely sure yet, but unfortunately everything currently happening in Phuong Bai village coincides with the details recorded in the book. Phuong Bai village matches the details documented in the book written by the deputy military advisor. Usually when a person dies, their soul is taken to the underworld. However, there are also some cases where the deceased still wish to remain in the human world. Because of that, when a person passes away, there is a period of time during they are allowed to stay in the living world. Those who lived without karmic entanglements 3 days see they have died and will willingly accept to go to the underworld, continue reincarnate through lifetimes. Such people are often skilled experts, possessing great blessings and deep spirituality. As for ordinary people, especially Those who die young or suffer wrongful deaths, they often cannot accept that they have died. Their souls linger in the human world for a longer time. After, we often see prayers for their liberation. Within the first 7 days, then 49 days, and later 100 days. All of this is done with the hope of comforting the souls of the departed, wishing for them to quickly attain liberation and be reborn. However, there are still those who stubbornly refuse to move on to the realm of the afterlife. Because of the heavy burden of resentment and karma, their souls drift aimlessly. Over time, they lose even their soul and spirit, causing these wandering souls to no longer remember who they once were. Some of them transform into malevolent spirits, seeking out bodies that are compatible with their soul and energy to possess them. These malevolent spirits are what we call ghosts. However, not everyone who dies can become a ghost. It requires going through many elements. Otherwise, just souls, harmless spirits. To become a ghost capable of harming humans, these souls must absorb a massive amount of dark energy, gradually becoming manifested to the point where even those without spiritual sensitivity or training can still sense. Okay, like earlier on the way back, Uncle Ka heard someone splashing through mud and the dragging footsteps right behind him. Yet there was absolutely no sign of anyone there. This was clearly a warning sign. Phuong Bai village is attracting a large number of wandering spirits, ghostly figures and restless souls, spirits missing parts of their essence indeed, causing an overflow. Miasma thickly enveloped Phuong Bai village, luring more and more wandering spirits, turning them into malevolent ghosts until they gain the ability to possess and seize the bodies of the living. From that moment, Phuong Bai would become a dead village. As Ka listened, he trembled with fear. To even set foot there, trembling, Ka's voice quivered as he asked, "But Master Leon, even if that's the case, what does it have to do with that corpse? Exam? Something such as..." Master Leon held the teapot in his hand. No, rather, Master Leon poured tea into a small cup, pouring until the cup overflowed and spilled onto the tray holding the teapot and cups. He kept pouring. Master Leon continued pouring as he said, "Of course it does. In Phuong Bai village, there's something releasing enormous amount of dark energy. The miasma grows thicker with each passing day, just like the water in this teapot. It will keep overflowing everywhere until it completely engulfs everything. And the thing capable of releasing such a powerful amount of dark energy enough to attract ghosts and wandering spirits gathering here like what's happening now is most likely. This is..." A corpse demon. 10 p.m. A house in Phuong Bai village. Inside a spacious, well-furnished home, dim yellow lights glowed softly and hazy. At the staircase leading to the second floor, suddenly, footprints appeared as if someone was walking slowly down from above. The footprints were soaking wet, imprinting on each step of the stairs until they reached the hallway on the first floor, where they stopped right in front of a tightly closed door. Everything fell silent. "Hush now, my sweet child. Sleep tight and soundly. Let mommy go to plant, to plow the fields, and cultivate the land with care and dedication." A lullaby, softly and gently to soothe. Inside the room, while sleeping soundly, Mrs. Suot suddenly jolted awake, turning to look beside her. Her husband, old Thong, was lying there, snoring loudly. On top of that, one of his legs was draped. Over Mrs. Suot, the nightlight cast a dim glow. Mrs. Suot pushed Thong's leg off with her hand and gently shook him. "What's going on? The wind is so harsh. How can anyone sleep like this?" But old Thong was fast asleep, and even when shaken, he didn't care. He just turned over, facing the wall, to continue sleeping. Frustrated, Mrs. Suot then pinched him hard in the side. The sharp pain made Thong jolt upright. Half asleep, he sat up, grimacing slightly, then grumbling, "What the hell are you doing?" "I was sleeping so well, scared me half to death. Are you crazy?" Mrs. Suot replied. "Shut up. Just put your feet up to sleep." "Who can breathe? But man, do you hear?" Rubbing the spot on his side where he'd just been pinched, Thong barked. "Hear what? It's the middle of the night. What did you see?" Didn't sleep last night. Move over. I'll stretch my leg wherever I want. How am I supposed to move over? There! With that, Thong yanked the pillow, pressed himself against the wall, was about to lie down when Suot grabbed him by the back of his shirt and whispered, "Hey, I think I just heard a lullaby, you know, and then I felt heavy, like a rock pressed on me, like that." Old Thong sighed and said, "All right. I beg you. It was my fault, okay? It's tough enough. Didn't you tell me if my leg was on you, you couldn't? Breathe foot on her body, she cannot breathe anymore. If it's just lullabies left, then don't try to scare me. It's the middle of the night. Where would a dream singer come from? Dream nonsense, then wake everyone up. Go back to sleep." Hearing her husband say that, Mrs. Suot thought it made sense too. The feeling of sleep paralysis now was because her leg was resting on her husband, and the singing she thought she heard was probably just a dream as well. But she still felt a bit scared, so when her husband told her to move over, she instead pulled the blanket and pillow closer. "Thong, just lay down. Have you tasted it yet?" Barely settled in, her eyes half closed, about to drift back into sleep when once again she heard the lullaby echoing from somewhere outside. "Ah, little stork, you go out at night, land on a soft branch and fall headfirst into the pond." Lullaby singing softly and gently while humming. Suot jolted upright, her arms and legs shrinking back, curling herself up under the blanket. She held her breath, staying still to listen, figuring out if the lullaby she just heard was real or merely her imagination. Frightened out of her wits, she sat frozen in the silence. Each second made it hard for Suot to breathe, and then, breaking that heavy stillness, the lullaby rose once more, this time indeed clearer. "Ah, little stork, you go to greet the rain in the dark and murky night. Who will bring the stork back home? Sleep, my dear child. Sleep peacefully before they wake up. Now, right here and now, at this very moment." A shrill, piercing laugh echoed as if someone was standing right outside the bedroom door. Suot broke out in a cold sweat. She didn't dare to poke her head out from under the blanket. Gently, she used her finger to scratch at her husband's back. For a moment, she trembled and whispered, "Husband, wake up. There's something terrifying in this house." During the day, Lao Thong never napped, so at night he would go to bed early and fall asleep easily. Once asleep, he was usually dead to the world. Nothing. Unless someone shakes and calls. Today too. Only now he was being shaken awake by Suot. Even so, after just a few minutes, he was already sleeping soundly again. Feeling an itch on his back, he grew slightly annoyed. Turned his head, intending to scold his wife, and grumbled, "What now? Can you let me sleep or not?" Lao Thong muttered, but immediately after, he saw that his wife had pulled the blanket over her head, her whole body curled up, trembling like a leaf. Gently pulling back the blanket, Mrs. Suot was drenched in sweat as if she had just taken a bath. Yet she stubbornly refused to let go of the blanket. Her hair was matted and her face was pale. Seeing this, Lao Thong softened his tone. "Why are you sweating so much? Are you catching a cold? This is serious. Let me go get some medicine for you. Take off the blanket to cool down, wrapping yourself up like that. Of course you're overheating and sweating buckets." Lao Thong was about to step off the bed when Suot reached out and grabbed him tightly, yanking him back. Her voice was gasping, struggling for breath. "Don't go, don't open the door. There's something out there." "What's wrong with you today? If there's something, then say it clearly." Lao Thong clearly snapped, annoyed. In a daze, Suot held her husband's arm, muttering, "Darling, I heard someone singing a lullaby outside." "Outside?" I heard it clearly. Lao Thong immediately glared. "Damn it, you're just hearing nonsense again. I told you to go to sleep, stop dreaming. There's no one singing. If someone was singing, I just have to hear." Lao Thong tried to reassure his wife with that reasoning. In a hoarse tone, he lay back down to sleep. When his wife called him, it took tries to rise. He moved slowly, as if old Thong had the sharpest hearing. Suot shook her head vigorously. "No, it's not a dream. I heard it clearly. I wasn't even asleep to be dreaming. It's out there outside." After singing, it even laughed gleefully. Dear, our house has a ghost." Old Thong was a rough-tempered man. While most of the people in Puangbai village believed deeply in spiritual matters, he was different. He actually wasn't originally from around here. He was from Haiphong. He drifted up to Hanoi to make a living. During one job as a hired thug, he was slashed across the shoulder by an opponent. He ended up in the hospital, his life hanging by a thread. That's when he met Suot. At that time, she was only in her real form. At the hospital, she had changed his dressings a few times. By bandaging his wounds using medicine, Suot ended up falling for his rough, thuggish, and wild nature. Eventually, the two fell in love. And after about a year, they got married. Just like that, the couple, husband and wife living together is fine. Over 20 years. By now, Thong must be only 42 years old. Suot was 2 years younger, at 40. However, with his streetwise nature, Thong wanted everyone to see him as a big boss. A seasoned veteran, his life had been one of fighting and roaming. Having faced death several times, he wasn't afraid of anything, let alone something like things he believed didn't exist, like ghosts and spirits. If Suot had been scared for some other reason, Thong might have been less annoyed. But instead, she kept going on and on about ghosts, which drove him absolutely mad. Thong threw aside his blanket and watch, stood up, and walked straight down the bed. Every time he got angry, it was as if he reverted to his true thuggish and aggressive nature. He roared, then cursed at both his wife and the ghost. "You, damn woman! So you woke me up? Kept me from sleeping just because you were scared of ghosts, huh? Ghosts! Ghosts, my ass! Damn ghosts! Where are the ghosts? I've never seen a ghost before. Let me go see what kind of ghost or demon is definitely lurking around here." With that, he aggressively marched toward the cabinet in the room. He opened the cabinet door and grabbed the knife, the kind of cleaver typically used for cutting melons. Hidden inside the cabinet, he drew the knife from its sheath. The blade gleamed brightly under the light. Kicking the door open, knife in hand, old Thong stormed outside. Out in the hallway, he looked around warily, ready to strike at anything he might see. "Where's the ghost? Who sang lullabies? Sing for me. Let me hear it. Let's see if it's a real ghost," he shouted loudly. Mrs. Suot was already in bed, both scared and worried, but seeing her husband acting so fierce, she felt a bit more at ease, a little less afraid. Old Thong charged out of the room. It seemed like he spotted something outside. Mrs. Suot hurriedly got out of bed, ran after him, and stood in the hallway. Near the bedroom door, she saw her husband, standing completely still by the set of redwood furniture, his eyes fixed straight toward the end of the hallway. Not only that, but outside in the living room there was something flickering, sometimes bright, at times dim, under the dim light. Her whole body trembling, Mrs. Suot slowly took cautious steps toward Thong. As she walked, she stammered, calling out, "Darling, what's wrong with you?" Suddenly Thong glanced over at her. There was something strange, almost eerie in his eyes, and bewitching, making Mrs. Suot uneasy. She grew angry, stammering, but before she could say anything as she got closer, Thong curled his lips into a smile and spoke in a deep, hoarse voice, as if trying to scare his wife to death. He pointed at the Sony Color TV, which was flickering and replaying a program late at night. The images on the TV would sometimes become distorted, sometimes clear. No one knew why. However, both Thong and Mrs. Suot could still vaguely make out that on the TV screen, there was a female singer wearing a traditional 4-panel dress singing Kwan Ho folk songs. And this outfit, totally lost her mind out of fear. Getting messed up by those old geezers in the village. Scared her so badly she lost her soul. Both Mrs. Suot and indeed old Thong grumbled while scolding his wife. Thong walked closer to the TV, slapping the casing of the TV with loud thuds. He kept muttering, "Why are there so many flies?" The sound is all muffled too, can't hear a thing. Must be because earlier this afternoon there was a storm which spun antenna around. It's turned around. Mrs. Suot still hasn't peace of mind. She said, But why is the TV turning on by itself? Don't you find that strange?" Old Thong kept silent, staring at his wife, standing there. She asked a rather silly question. He smirked with a faint smile, then replied, "You're asking about that? Also ask, because at that time this afternoon I was watching. Before the power came back, we had already gone to bed. Now that the electricity's back, naturally the TV turned on." "Why not picking up the remote to turn on the TV, old Thong?" exclaimed. "In this whole village there are only 2 or 3 households that even have a TV. If yours breaks, it would be a disgrace. Damn it. That Sao Hoi? Back then I told him to get me a better model, but he just shoved this one at me. He said It was Japanese, a genuine Sony TV. But looking at it, even second-hand goods would be better. So many of those brand new Chinese knockoffs. Just watched it yesterday and already saw signs of it acting up. Immediately an explanation was given, even though no one knew if it was true. But it sounded pretty reasonable, like some electrical devices. After power outage, restart when power's back. At this point, Suot finally managed to let go of some of her fear. Thong pressed the button to turn off the TV and put the cleaver back into its sheath. He turned to look at his wife. Well, can we go to sleep now? I told you. Stop being so superstitious. Stop overthinking. This village, from the old to the young, is obsessed with all spiritual legends. How are we ever going to rise up? People don't even have enough to eat. Yet all they do is fuss over rituals, dissect things, and wait around to die. There's nothing worth worship or sacrifice. Over in the West, they even cremate their dead, scatter ashes into rivers, and release them into the sea. We'd run out of land to bury people. We'll pile dirt to make graves. Watching all day long, but still can't open their minds. At the slightest thing, it's all about ghosts and spirits. Mrs. Suot indeed knew her husband's temper, so she didn't dare argue. Normally, she could joke around with him, but once he got angry and lost his temper, it was best to stay silent. What he hated most was being woken up before he had enough sleep. The couple was about to head back to their room. As they reached the staircase, Mrs. Suot suddenly noticed that there was water on the steps going up and down. When she stepped on it, it really was water. Mrs. Suot said to her husband, "Dear, why is water here? What's going on?" Old Thong turned back, bent down to look, and sure enough, there was water pooling, soaking the steps. The house had originally been built quite tall. Later, once wealthier, Suot and her husband renovated into a mezzanine floor. Above the mezzanine, there was a room for their daughter. Their daughter was currently studying in the city. Second, the house was leaking. Since it was leaking from above, the water was flowing the staircase. Old Thong wondered, still puzzled about where the water was coming from, when suddenly the sound of water dripping could be heard very clearly as you carefully gazed down from the mezzanine level above. Mrs. Suot stayed silent, swallowed hard, and then softly asked, "Dear, did you hear something?" Truth be told, Old Thong wasn't scared at all, but his wife was trembling, her face dotted with sweat. Her expression and her stammering voice made him suddenly feel uneasy as well. So he replied, "Must be heavy rain, so water pools on mezzanine. It's leaking. Let me go up there and check it out." After saying that, Old Thong followed the staircase up to the mezzanine. Sure enough, the steps were all wet, but the wetness was only on the steps themselves. Just wet is holding the step up and down. If so, rain leaks or water flows from the mezzanine, it would be wet in a different way. This kind of wetness looked as if someone's wet feet had stepped down each step. Since he wasn't afraid of ghosts, Old Thong immediately thought of another possibility, which was a thief. He glared, gritting his teeth, and quickly hurried up the stairs. Each step, he growled under his breath, "Damn it, it's really a thief. Damn it, don't you know whose house this is, and yet you dare sneak into? Quickly steal." He drew his knife from its sheath. Once again his blood rushed to his head. His feet stomped heavily on the floor, ready to beat someone. His hand gripped a cleaver tightly. Thong charged and opened his daughter's bedroom door. He hurriedly switched on the light and shouted, "Come out now! You can't hide. If you come out, spare you." But there was no one in the room. He searched under the bed, inside the wardrobe, but still found nothing. He even moved on to the next room, but the result was the same. No sign of any thief, and strangely, when Thong had reached the upper floor, he no longer heard the sound of dripping water either. Standing at the foot of the stairs, Suot called up, "Thong, how is it?" "My dear, is there a thief or not?" Thong shouted back from upstairs. "No, I don't see anything, and I also don't know where the water is coming from, either. It's so strange. There's no leak, so why is it so wet? Get some dry cloth. Then tomorrow morning, we'll just take a closer look." Mrs. Suot muttered, "Yes, all right," and headed to the back of the house to get some dry cloth to wipe the floor, the stairs. She turned on all the lights to make it less scary. While his wife went to get the cloth on the upper floor, Old Thong tried to inspect the walls and the window along the hallway. He wanted to see if rain might have blown in through a crack in the window or something had leaked down from the ceiling. He remembered that during the house renovations, he had specifically instructed the workers to do everything thoroughly. There was no way the house could be leaking. He went back into his daughter's room one more time, but just as he stepped inside, a sudden gust of wind came from nowhere, causing the heavy wooden door suddenly swung closed with a resounding bang. The noise made the entire room shake. Startled, old Thong grabbed onto the doorknob, trying to turn and push it open at the same time. But for some reason, he just couldn't get it to open. Cannot open. Downstairs, Suot was also startled when she heard a loud noise coming from the mezzanine floor. Holding an old shirt she was using as a dry cloth, Suot hurriedly ran toward the staircase, calling out loudly, "Big Thong, what's the matter?" Old man. Thong inside the room also heard his wife calling, so he shouted back, "The door is stuck. I can't open it. Come, help me." Mrs. Suot quickly rushed upstairs, standing outside the door to their daughter's room. She could hear her husband inside struggling to twisting, pushing. She used both hands to try to pull the door forcefully to help Thong. However, the door seemed to have fused completely into one solid piece with the wall. No matter what they tried, they couldn't make it budge, transfer. Inside the room, Thong was starting to lose his composure. He flew into a rage. "God damn it! Why the hell won't this stupid door open? It's completely stuck!" He started kicking it. Kick hard on the door. However, kicking hurts. The wooden door remained firmly shut. Mrs. Suot asked anxiously, "Thong, what should we do now?" "Old man." Thong immediately shouted, "What else?" "Get the crowbar and break the door down for me. Break it. Really break it." Mrs. Suot carefully looked at the door. With a regretful face, all wooden furniture on the mezzanine floor was made of expensive, fragrant wood. The door was no exception. When the door was installed, Thong had puffed out his chest before the workers, saying that his daughter's room, from the bed, wardrobe, study desk, to the door, was all made from solid red, fragrant wood. Thong was known for spoiling his daughter, so whatever he did or bought for her had to be top quality. Now hearing him say, "Get the crowbar to break the door," Mrs. Suot regretted. Terribly wasteful. Thong went on to shout, "Damn it! Why haven't you gone yet?" "So long?" Suot immediately flustered. "Wait a moment. I'll go get it right away. Now!" With that, Suot ran downstairs. She remembered that there was a hose stored behind the house, a shovel, and even a crowbar. While waiting for his wife to fetch the crowbar to break the door, old Thong was drenched in sweat after a period of yelling, cursing, and furiously pounding, punching, and kicking at the door. Sit on the edge of the bed in the room. He wiped the sweat off his face with his hand on his forehead, then let out a long sigh. "Damn it. What a godforsaken day this is. It's all because of that meddlesome wife. Oh, damn. I'm completely out of breath." As he was sitting there, he noticed the light bulb in the room suddenly flickering, making crackling sounds, flashing on and off erratically, blinking non-stop. Then after a while, it went completely dark. His anger flared up even more. The light bulb had burned out, and Thong cursed, "Damn it! This is worse luck than a black dog. That Suot girl. Why are you taking long?" In the middle of cursing, Thong suddenly stopped. In the darkness that engulfed the entire room, Thong suddenly felt something fall from the ceiling onto his head. He reached up to rub his head, mumbling, "Is it leaking? What kind of water is this? Why wasn't there anything?" Earlier, as he spoke, he brought his hand to his nose to sniff and check the water that hit his head. Suddenly Thong shuddered, a chill running down his spine as if pressed with ice. His past life in the underworld, using knives to kill, had sharpened his senses so much that just a whiff was enough for him to recognize the liquid on his hand. It was definitely blood. He realized this wasn't animal blood, but the distinct scent of human blood. What the hell is this? Why is there blood? Thong clicked his tongue, stammering, his face tilting upward to look at the ceiling. The light bulb that had seemed burnt out earlier now suddenly flickered, on and off, flashing intermittently, unevenly. Thong was stunned, screaming out when he looked up at the ceiling. There he saw a woman hanging herself, her body dangling limply, tied to a ceiling beam. Her hair hung down, covering face, arms drooped lifelessly, the liquid dripping steadily onto the floor below was blood flowing from her body. her body. Jumping to his feet, Thong lunged toward the door. Panicking, he twisted and yanked at the doorknob, pounding and banging on the door. He shouted, cried out, "Suot! Suot! Save me! Suot! Please!" At that moment, Madame Suot was still at the back of the house, looking for a crowbar. Thong's fear grew even more intense. It reached a climax when he called out, but no one answered. His face turned pale, his expression lifeless. Lao Thong looked at the ceiling fan. The light flickered on and off. He no longer saw the woman hanging from the ceiling. Only the fan blades were gently swaying, even though the room was completely sealed. There wasn't even the slightest breeze. Having never seen a ghost before, and always boldly declaring that he didn't believe in the existence of spirits, yet in just the past few seconds, Lao Thong's understanding of ghosts and worldview had been completely and utterly shattered. He knew that what he had just seen was not a hallucination, because if merely a hallucination, then why was his hand, his body, still stained with that cold, numbing blood on the floor? Likewise, the blood had pooled into puddles. Clearly, that ghostly entity had only temporarily disappeared from his sight. It simply wasn't that it didn't exist. "Suot! Suot! Open the door for me! Suot!" Old Thong continued to call out for his wife. At this moment, the light bulb had just stopped flickering. It shone steadily. The light spread throughout the entire room that encompasses. The soft light from the bulb helped him see everything clearly. Aside from Old Thong, there was no one else. Yet in his ears, he could hear someone singing a lullaby, echoing softly around him. "Ah, little stork, you're so frail and thin. If only there were a magic potion for the stork." The autumn wind lulls the child to sleep. Once asleep, no matter how you call, there's no reply. Oh, gentle and soothing rain. Oh, heavy rain. Darkness all around and ominous. Mother slowly and carefully takes her child to the fields. Lullaby singing. The sound was so sorrowful, so mournful, so full of grief that it was heartbreaking. As the singing filled the room, the air suddenly turned icy cold. Instantly, suddenly before Old Man Thong, a figure of a woman wearing a traditional four-panel dress, shadow of a woman wearing clothes, reaching all the way down to the mat. In her arms, she was cradling a child about 2 years old. She stood there dazed, singing a lullaby, her whole body soaked with water, dripping wet. She gently raised her slender fingers, stroking her hair and caressing the child's head, saying, "Sleep, my child. Gently, baby, we go home." The woman softly brushed her long hair to one side, revealing a pale, ghostly face along with a veil. The flesh was slightly decaying. She turned her gaze toward Old Thong. She gave a blurred smile and gently, "I was wondering," asked, "Where is your wife? I want to meet her. If you could tell me." The light bulb continued to flicker and blink. In just a moment, the woman carrying the child had vanished. Where is the woman holding the baby in the story? Been driven to such a level of fear. He slowly reached out his hand, gripped the cleaver tightly in his hand, curling up against the wall near the door to the room. His whole body trembled, his face ashen. Sweat poured down in streams. She pounded, her hand on the door. He stammered, voice trembling. "Open, open, open. Door." Outside, Suot managed to bring a crowbar up to the mezzanine. Standing outside, she called out to her husband, "Honey, here's the crowbar. Which part should I break?" "Dear." Hearing his wife's voice, Lao Thong was overjoyed. He stood up and shouted loudly, "The door! Smash this door to pieces! Inside, inside! There's a ghost! There's really a ghost!" Even though Lao Thong was screaming loudly inside, Suot outside couldn't hear a thing, even though just moments ago, two of them had been bragging and shouting back and forth. "Mr. Thong, where are you hiding? Why aren't you saying anything?" "Mr. Thong," Suot kept calling out. Inside the room, Lao Thong was desperately screaming, pounding hard on the door. But now the two of them seemed like they were in completely different worlds. Even though they were separated by just a single wooden door, only Lao Thong could hear Suot's voice, while Suot couldn't hear a sound, any kind of sound or noise, or disturbance in the room. Inside, Lao Thong suddenly heard a strange sound. This noise made Lao Thong so terrified that his limbs started trembling. From under the bed, a large number of snakes were slithering out. They were crawling en masse toward Lao Thong. Get away! Move! Get out! Scram! Go! Old Thong is not afraid of heaven, not afraid of earth, only now found himself terrified of snakes. But before encountering ghosts, his greatest fear had always been snakes. He was always excessively terrified of these reptiles. Even just watching TV, whenever he came across a program like The World of Animals or any other show where snakes appeared, he would immediately start trembling, shuddering, and quickly change the channel. Sometimes he didn't even dare to switch back to that channel. This was also his biggest secret, one that even Suot, his own wife, didn't know about. The writhing mass of snakes kept slithering out from under the bed, ready to crawl all over the floor. They raced toward Lao Thong. In the midst of his panic, Lao Thong could only swing, his knife wildly hitting snakes, striking tiles. A snake was decapitated, its blood splattering everywhere. But even with their heads cut or their bodies cut in half, the mutilated parts still kept writhing, crawling over Lao Thong's body. Thong, help me! Help me! The snakes slithered all over Lao Thong, some even crawling straight into his mouth, as if burrowing into a burrow. Lao Thong's eyes rolled back, his entire body turning pale. In that moment, he felt death looming very near. Lao Thong gripped the knife handle tightly, pointing the blade toward all by himself. Absolutely, certainly. Without a moment's hesitation, he thrust the blade deep into his own chest. The knife sank deep, piercing through his body. Blood gushed profusely. Lao Thong could only utter one last word. His eyes bulged wide, staring straight ahead. There were no more snakes. The room was silent. The image of the light before his eyes blurred and faded away. Lao Thong died in sunset, a large pool of blood spreading across the floor, and his entire body was drenched in it. All this time, she had been desperately using a crowbar to break the door, but couldn't manage it. A woman's strength could only swing the crowbar a few times before her arms grew sore and her clothes were drenched in sweat. Em braced the crowbar against the ground, her mouth panting heavily. Mr. Thong, where are you? Mr. Thong. She grabbed the doorknob and gave it a gentle twist, surprised when the door let out a soft click. With a light push, the door swung open easily, as if it had never been stuck at all. She was overjoyed, her face full of excitement. As she opened the door, smiling brightly, she stepped inside. Mr. Thong, I managed to open it. She was thrilled. Her feet were soaking wet and she had just stepped into slimy, sticky goo. Her joy lasted only a few seconds before she had to wipe the smile off her face, on her lips as she turned her head toward the corner of the wall near the doorway and saw her husband sitting, dead in a pool of blood. She was overwhelmed with fear and let out a piercing scream, her voice echoing through the room. Darling! All the lights in the house suddenly went out. She gasped for air before she could gather herself after her husband's death. A chill ran down her spine, her back, because when everything went pitch black without any light, she felt someone lightly glide past behind her along the mezzanine hallway. She heard a melodious singing voice very close by. The autumn wind returns. Mother lulls her child to sleep. The child falls asleep, then calling out repeatedly, but no answer. Oh, rain! Oh, pouring rain! The heavy rain. Mother takes her child out to the fields. Ah, lullaby. Dead. Dead. Hey! The old woman jerked her head around to look behind her, but saw no one. The entire house was pitch dark, making her fear grow even stronger, horrifying. Her feet were slimy, covered in blood. Blood! She was so scared she couldn't move. Can't move even one step. People can't, yet the singing still echoed throughout the house. The light bulb in the bedroom kept flickering. In the dim, flickering light, a bit saw sitting on the edge of the bed was a woman wearing a traditional 4-part dress holding a baby, rocking it back and forth. It seemed that only now did she realize who woman in 4-part dress and the melodious and beautiful singing voice belonged to. It wasn't an image playing on the TV nor was it part of some random program. The girl in the 4-part dress appeared on the TV screen, blurry and indistinct, and it was Thuy Tien. It's her, isn't it? She stammered. The light bulb kept flickering, and with each flicker, the woman in the 4-part dress, with long hair and half of her face visible, appeared, each time getting closer and closer to her continuously. In an instant, the woman was briefly standing. Right in front of her, she was still seething with hatred. Distance between the living and the ghost was so close that she could almost... Her corpse-like body was reeking of mud, pond water, and decay, the stench rising up, overpowering. Her whole body stiffened. She couldn't move at all. Her fear had reached its peak as the ghost glared straight into her face. The woman raised her bony, emaciated fingers, the pale skin peeling off in patches, and brushed aside her hair to look behind her, fully revealing a face with rotting, horrifying flesh. Her lips were cracked, pale and lifeless, her mouth ashen. In the gloomy atmosphere, the soft voice of the woman whom she had always called Thuy Tien, Hey Tien. You still recognize me? It's me, Thuy Tien. My mother and I have come to visit you, sister. Just like you promised, dear, now that we've finally arrived. The old woman was terrified out of her wits. She was so scared that she wet herself. Her face was now even paler than that of a corpse. She recalled the events of the past, a story that was connected to the promise, the oath that when she made it, she never imagined would still be haunting her to this very day. The ghost, the spirit now appearing before her, was someone she had once known, that she used to know. Her name is Thuy, a beautiful woman with a lovely singing voice, the villager of Phuong Jam. Two years ago, after treating a patient in Phuong Jam village, a person in Phuong Jam village on the road and immediately waved to her. Quickly, Tien, hey, Tien. Thuy Tien looked, saw her. She enjoyed traditional music. Whenever there were singing events nearby, singing festival is what kind of witch. That's how she and Thuy Tien got to know each other, through the village festivals featuring Chauvan and Quan Ho singing. Later on, whenever Thuy Tien caught a cold, had a runny nose or a headache, she would turn to her for help. She would stay over frequently. At that time, Tien was about 30 years old, had a 2-year-old daughter, but no husband. Back then, women who had children out of wedlock faced a lot of gossip and whispers from the villagers. Tien, on top of that, was a beautiful young woman with a lovely singing voice. Because of this, during festivals and celebrations, Tien was always invited to sing for everyone. The men and young boys were absolutely smitten with Tien. Meanwhile, the women felt the opposite. They saw Tien as nothing more than a singer, a courtesan, a promiscuous woman, an unmarried mother. For the sake of her child, Tien kept silent. All she wished for was to earn a living each day. Enough money to raise her child was sufficient for her. Tien had no friends, only her elderly mother, who was frail and sick. She had suffered from rheumatism for many years, making it difficult for her to move around. But thankfully, having her mother allowed Tien to feel at ease, leaving her child in her care while she went to work. Whenever someone or another person, Tien met the woman, fond of Tien's singing voice, she would often approach familiar because of different villages, so she also did not pay much attention to Tien's personal life. A few times when Tien's mother fell ill, she would come over to visit and sell medicine to Tien at a price cheaper than what she charged others, though it still wasn't exactly a fair price. Couple with a money-grubbing person like her, that was already considered generous. Little by little, their relationship grew even closer. Sister Soy, where are you coming back from? Little. Tien, who was jogging, cheerfully answered right away. She looked at me. Carrying a bag like this, where else could I be going? Goodness, I'm off to give vaccinations for the villagers. Over here. Vaccinated yesterday, appointment today. So where exactly are you headed? Tien immediately replied, I went to the market and bought some wild eels. Then I stopped by the village chief's house and got a few chicken membranes to bring home and cook porridge in the morning for my little girl to eat. Suot was surprised. Huh? If you're cooking porridge, that's great. But if you're bringing it back, what for? Are you going to cook it too? What for? Cook too? Tien heard that, then explained. just a person from the city. Adding chicken membranes is a traditional cure. Chicken noodle soup with added membrane is a remedy. Cure anorexia in children, sister. I learned this from a few elders, but you can't just bring it back, cook it right away. The chicken gizzard membrane has to be dried, then roasted. Small fire, grind into powder, put in, and then add it into eel porridge for the kids to eat. It's really good. Too, but still small and frail. It's probably because back then I didn't really have much milk, so that's why she's so skinny. Every penny I earned, I spent on buying good, nutritious food for her to eat. But she still wouldn't eat much. One hearty meal. Suddenly, I remembered that some medicine was smuggled in from abroad, foreign smuggled in. Recently, there's been a rise in cases of children being stunted and losing their appetite. I was about to call it a day when I thought of selling the medicine to make some money. Tien was mentioned about children not eating. I immediately came up with an idea. I quickly said, "Oh my goodness, you really just listen to whatever you hear and feed her all sorts of random things, risking food poisoning without even realizing it. Kids aren't like adults. The elders from the old days, no need to teach. Everything is right. Great. Doctor for many years in which hospital? Seen anyone put chicken skin membranes into food? Never in food. I do it all. Anyway, just the girl suffers. Everyone suffers." Tien was stunned. After thinking it over and over, she realized that what Granny Soy said made sense. If she kept feeding the child random folk remedies and something happened, who would take responsibility? Tien immediately stammered, So what should I do, sister? Is there any way to help my little girl eat properly?" Ha had been waiting for just that moment, and when the child had taken the bait, Suot finally began to moan and groan. Mo sighed and smacked. "Easy, open your mouth. I'll tell you. Since we're acquaintances, I'll let you in on it. The child is a fussy eater. Don't even bother to ask about that. Just keep asking about random things. Actually, right now, children's health issues are getting a lot of attention. In town, in the district, people are taking great care of their children. You often go singing the commune. District too, you've seen it, right? The kids up there are chubby, plump and heavy, thudding around. Yes, that's true, you're right. In town, if you ask, must be some secret to raising kids like that, right?" Mo chuckled softly and replied, "Of course. There's the special medicine for children who are picky eaters, especially those between 2 and 5 years old. This medicine is imported, really good. Any kid who takes it eats well and gains weight. The only thing is, people in town have money to buy it, but down here, how could we afford it? So, it's a pity for the kids in the countryside. Every single one of them is so scrawny they all look like they're starving together, because they're undernourished from a young age, and as they grow up, they just stay that way." "All right," Tien quickly said. "There's really a medicine like that?" "Really, sis? Can you get it?" Mo was overjoyed inside, but still put on a difficult face. "If I really try, I can get it. It's just that medicine is costly. Bottle of medicine is big, only has around 20 small pills, and it costs 100,000 jong. Plus, you need connections and favors to get it. You know, it's imported from abroad. It's not easy to get." After a brief silence, Tien nodded firmly. "I'll buy it." Si looked at him. "I'll buy a box for my child too. Sister Soy, since we know each other, could you help me buy it, please? You know, I only have one precious daughter. She's the most precious thing to me. Don't mention 100,000, even if costs double if my child will be healthy and eat well. I'd also borrow money to buy." Doan Tien put the bag of eels straight into Soy's bicycle basket. "You're right. Feeding kids random stuff is dangerous. I'm scared, but I don't dare. This batch of eels is for eating. Please help me out. Consider it me owing you one." "Oh no, this is mine." "Who did that?" "She did it." "Doing this makes me feel so embarrassed." Soy pretended to blush. Tien cheerfully replied, "No, I'm indeed serious. Take them home and cook. I'm sure the little one will eat it up." "Not yet. Consider it as a little kindness. Buy me some medicine. Don't refuse." One success after another, she kept pushing forward. Got a new piece for sale, and it already has a price. If the next batch was as good, she would surely make a fortune. After a moment, he nodded. "All right then. If you're giving it, I'll accept. As for buying the medicine, you can rest assured about the medicine. I will tomorrow. Bring it to her house. That's it. I'm going home. It's almost noon anyway. Goodbye." Tien waved enthusiastically. Mu Suoi, a single mother, loved her child so much that she wanted to save up everything for her child. But she never imagined that this love would unintentionally lead her daughter carefully down a path to death. by execution. Thank you to our dear audience for tuning in. We bid you farewell, dear, and look forward to seeing you again in the next episode of the story.